interact with marketplaces, with social media, with Meta, TikTok. We need to be monitoring this boom all the time. Websites, NFTs, which we heard about extensively, the other platforms in the Metaverse, OpenSea, app stores. In fact, there's a lot of cases of impersonation and counterfeit apps selling themselves as or branding themselves as customers. We also work with Google Ads and paid searches and domains. The difference between websites and domains is websites are talking about content, and domain is specifically the name of the domain name. And the content includes what the customers are trying to protect. This is some data from 2021, and this is very impressive. We were able to protect over 1,400 brands just last year, over 15 million ads were taken down, 2.2 million fake vendors or fake sellers, and something else. I think the most important thing is that our customers were able to save $5 billion in revenue because of our actions. Sadly, the falsification counterfeit market is very dangerous, but $5 billion is no small feat. $5 billion in savings and in protection is no small feat. We speak many languages. We're multicultural, but we're specialists also in intellectual property. So we understand what is involved. We understand what strategies need to be employed, and we have been working increasingly closer with all of our customers to ensure the best for them. Now, technology. We need our certified researchers and investigators for technology, both online and offline, for data protection and brand protection. Okay, I work on this nearly every day, and we have a kind of a rhythm that we follow. First, we do a review of what's happening, an analysis. We share our report and opinion with the customer. The customer looks at what's most important to kick off a conversation. We identify the main problems. We then do an assessment of what's actually happening. We remove content, and then we go back to the strategy again and review the strategy again. So it's a cycle. What changes is that what the customer wants. Maybe this month we need to focus on the Chinese market, or next we need to focus on the Italian market, X, Y, and Z. So this is a constant feedback loop, a constant monitoring loop. This is the software that we use. It's called the Zero. Okay, maybe I'm a little biased here, but I think it's the best program out there. When I first started talking to Core Search, I thought, oh my God, this is the best. This is wonderful. I think there's a lot of potential. It's an online search. All of the marketplaces use it, actually. Over 80 social media sites, 1,500 marketplaces. And you can look at different types of violations. It's not just PI and brands. We look at copyrights, patent infringement. Let's say a customer has a medication. We can look for the keywords, the SEOs, whatever. We can look and see if there's patent infringement, and there's so many others. What does others mean here? I think Igor will explain that a little bit better. But we've seen a few cases whereby the ads infringe the platform policy, not just the patent itself or not just intellectual property. So we're able to see all of this using the Zero software. Zero software has this neat interface. On the left-hand side, there are a number of different filters available. So we can filter by risk, by name, by continent, by location. We can filter it very quickly and easily, and we can figure out what we need for the takedown. We could also do an image search. Remember, I was talking about how counterfeiters are getting really good at what they're doing. So they'll use the logo. So our software is able to actually detect use of logo or misuse of logo. And we're able to take them down as well. And I just want to share two success stories with you. These are from these are industry sectors that are very important for Brazil. One is Lindbeck, which is a pharmaceutical company. So we're working with violations not just of IP, but also consumer safety. This is a company that manufactures very important brands that are focused on treating depression and other very important diseases. So the longer these products are available, the greater the risk, not just to the company, but also to the patients and customers. Lindbergh has over 9,000 brands and operates in over 150 countries. We work with them also in freedom to operate. So when they have a brand that they're considering launching, we look at the viability of using that, for feasibility of using that brand in the country. And we look at online versus offline help. We've helped them in both areas. We see the following. We helped the company focus on both areas. This is their help, and this is customer safety. That's what they wanted to focus on. We do brand protection monitoring. And we see about 2,000 takedowns with them per year. And in fact, I've seen this increase in the last few years. Second case is from Toyota. They're also looking for customer safety. That's a focus of theirs. They came to us because they were looking at a potential 2 billion euro loss due to counterfeit tires. The problem was not just the sales of these counterfeit products, but the time that it took for these takedowns. There was this major delay. So because of our relationship with the platforms, we saw a 65% time reduction in these takedowns. So takedowns were happening faster, and this obviously was positive for them and their revenue stream. No, I have only 5 more minutes. So again, we're working end to end. It's not just warehouse, and we start right from the beginning, market feasibility through and reinforcement, and so on and so forth. So we work with grouping technology. We bring everything that the customer needs and all the links that they need to work with. We then do an analysis. We have a huge review team, and they speak a number of different languages. They're specialists, and they've got a very keen eye, eagle eyes, focused on the research and investigation necessary. Collaboration, which again is that partnership that I mentioned with the social media and with marketplaces, and of course this very broad network that we've built. We also have a team of intelligence team. We can work anywhere. And I think this is my last slide. I think the most important thing is focusing on the partnerships. Partnerships for us are absolutely critical, not these alliances or partnerships. So thank you so much for hearing us, and we are very happy with the work we are doing here in Latin America and our wonderful partnerships. If you have any suggestions, if you have any questions, please come to me. Email, LinkedIn. We've got a group outside. We're here to answer your questions, to hear what you have to say. And it's a pleasure to turn it over to Igor. Thank you, Barbara. I have some questions here. But I'm going to wait. I'm going to hold off. First, we're going to hear Igor, and then we'll do questions and answers. I hope this... I think this is a great compliment to what Barbara mentioned. Igor, I'm sure everybody knows who you are. You've worked for so many years in a number of law firms. Many of you are familiar with him. He is the head of brand protection manager at Mercado Libre. He worked for 15 years in intellectual property in a number of law firms in both civil and criminal lawsuit and pirated products. And he has extensive experience on with customs offices throughout the region. He's also developed strategies and programs for Brazil and abroad. He's studied law at Mackenzie, and he's a specialist in civil law at the University of São Paulo and intellectual property where he studied at the Getulio Vargas Foundation. From 2007 to 2021, he was on the ABPI committee, our home to all of us here. So thank you very much, and the floor is yours, Igor.
Good morning, everybody. I can see familiar faces in the audience. It is always a great pleasure to be here at ABPI, and we're here to talk about Mercado Libre and the good practices that we adopt for brand protection at our company. And Maria Inez, thank you very much for being our mediator here. Well, our mission is to make financial services democratic, and this is what the founders had in mind 20 years ago, and now we can see the results. And we have seen the results for many years now. What I would like to highlight for you is our ecosystem. We have our marketplace in yellow on the chart, including all initiatives and the transactions that take place outside our platform. We also have our logistics department. We help individuals and legal entities create their website. We have Mercado Ads for ads on our website. We also have a fintech in our ecosystem, and of course, it also helps us make financial services more democratic. And more recently, we have a digital bank and Maricoin. We are present in 18 countries in Latin America. We have 8 offices and over 33,000 employees. Most of them are based here in Brazil. You can also see other numbers here. We have 10 million sellers on our platform, 107 million customers, and 35 items sold every second. As a lawyer, I'm not good at math, but these numbers show the progress that we have been making in Latin America. Here you can see the distribution centers that we have all around Brazil, 1 in Colombia, 5 in Mexico, and we also have distribution centers in Argentina and Chile. This is just to show you the progress and the expansion that we have been performing in Latin America. We have 5 million ads on our platform and 109 million visits every month. Now here we have some more details about the ecosystem, including the yellow and the blue part. Here we have some details about our hotline and policies. We have a hotline for forbidden products. There are many categories of products that cannot be sold on our platform. We also have IP infringement hotline, and we also have the prohibited techniques, situations that are banned by law and situations that we avoid so that we can protect our users. All users, 100% of the ads have a report button, and you can report any irregularity by clicking that button. And if you are the owner of IP or if you are representing the owner of IP, you can also use that report button, and you will be supported by the Mercado Libre representatives all around Latin America. Here we have the collaboration agreements that we have here in Brazil and other Latin American countries with ABL and Unseen, among many others, with the purpose of protecting IP. Now let's talk a little bit about the brand protection program. I don't know if you are all users of Mercado Libre, and if you're not, I would like to invite you to use it. And as Barbara said, protecting IP is extremely important, and sometimes clients don't want to go to court to obtain protection, and the brand protection program serves that purpose precisely. And I would like to highlight some aspects that should be very clear. We protect trademark, copyright, and industrial designs, utility designs, patents, and associated rights more recently. Now, what is not in the scope of the brand protection program? Well, they are mainly situations related to price control and green market. And you may wonder, will people report a problem because they see other sellers selling the same product for a lower price? Yes, that happens, but that should not be reported through the brand protection program. That is important. I would like to stress that point because it's very important. The program is available in all 18 Latin American countries where we are present, and you can use one single account for all countries. You just need one account to protect the rights of your clients. And this is free for use. We make this tool available to all IP owners, and they can use the program to protect their IP portfolio, and the clients can use a number of filters to search keywords, for example. You can also audit the tool, and the program is available in Portuguese, Spanish, and English. You can also generate management reports that we know that the clients need to use to see the results and to report results. And now let's talk a little bit about the reasons why people report problems in the program. Well, they usually include IP infringements, and of course, owners of rights know their rights better than anyone. They also include counterfeits or illegitimate use of a trade name, or they can be products that are not for sale, that should not be sold in Brazil, so clients can report those cases as well. And other cases that violate trademark or copyright or associated rights. Imagine, for example, a case in which your image is being used without your consent, so you can report that case. You can use the brand protection program for that purpose. And in some cases, they are very time sensitive. You need a very quick response that cannot wait for a court decision. And if you're familiar with the Brazilian court system, you know that obtaining a court decision takes very long. We here in Brazil have a very strong culture of litigation. I think that I learned that at college, actually. So getting a settlement, a good settlement, is much better than going to court for a long, long time. And I think this is a very good point on the screen for those who don't use the brand protection program. Once you participate in the program, you will get a training session, and you can look for potential infringements on the platform. If you find an issue, you can report it, and after the report is made, the ad is paused. Now, what does that mean? Well, it means that the product will no longer be sold on the platform. The reported seller has 4 days to respond, and if there's no response, the ad is taken down. Or the seller can challenge the report, and the person that reported may realize that the person is not in infringement at all. And then the seller can decide if they want to take down the ad, and they will be entitled to make that decision. And the flow is finished at that point. So the problem will be solved in 4 days or 8 days at most. This point is very important too. The cooperation is the result of a great partnership, and I would like to take this chance to thank Barbara and law firms and other entities related to the monitoring and control of content, and the clients who use brand protection program. They are critical to strengthen this collaboration. The yellow and the blue sides need to work hand in hand to make this work. And there are situations involving co-search, for example, and situations involving law firms, the companies themselves, their internal counsel. So this cooperation is absolutely essential. We cannot do this work isolatedly. Cooperation is absolutely necessary for protecting IP, and the good practice guideline that Mercado Libre adopted last year is a public commitment that we have made to have the very best commercial practices. Here we have some more figures that we presented in the seminar of anti-piracy practices. And these numbers consider 2021 and 2022, and you can see that we took down over 1.1 million ads under the brand protection program. Mercado Libre took down, based on machine learning and artificial intelligence, over 7 million ads proactively. And 57,000 users had ads taken down due to violations against our policies. Considering the number, this number actually considers the number of ads on our platform, and that accounts for a very low percentage of the ads that of the total number of ads that we have on our platform. In the first half of 2021 to the second half of 2021, we saw a decrease from 0.28% to 0.10%. So you can see that our work is increasingly effective, working together with the IP owners and our marketplace, and also the support of all members of our marketplace. If we consider the total number of reports and takedowns on the platform, you can see that we are being proactive precisely because we want to create a secure environment for our users. This is what matters the most to Mercado Libre. And besides the brand protection program, I don't know if you all had the chance to get to know the initiative that we launched in November last year, the Anti-Piracy Alliance. This alliance aims at strengthening the collaboration between the agencies and IP owners with a number of initiatives and criminal lawsuits. And we are still in the early steps of this initiative, but on August 10th this year, the first results of this cooperation were published by a newspaper here in São Paulo. And there was a case in which 14 individuals were suspected of involvement in the production of counterfeit T-shirts. And we are working together with the members of the alliance to take down those cases. Now, still about numbers. And I'm going to show you a few more figures, but before that, I would like to highlight the fact that I've been at Mercado Libre for 10 years, and for many of those years we have been issuing a transparency report, and in that report we disclose not only the numbers related to the brand protection program, but also numbers of the entire region of Latin America and situations related to LGPD, the Brazilian data protection law, situations involving fraud on our platform. And if you would like to have access to this report, you can find it on the Mercado Libre website. And just so you have an idea of what our work with the members of the alliance is like, you can see that we took down over 400,000 publications, and Mercado Libre took down over 2.7 million publications. And this is the product of collaboration, machine learning, and artificial intelligence. And as I said earlier, the yellow side cannot live without the blue side, and that collaboration needs to continue so that we can keep this initiative alive. And we had a reduction of 42% in the number of reports on the brand protection program. So you can see that the synergy is evolving. We are creating a secure environment to protect IP. It would be absolutely impossible for me to quantify the 5.5 billion reals saved by the different companies and IP owners, but I believe that our presentations bear witness to the fact that synergies are being captured by our initiatives that are the product of a great collaboration. And I would just like to make it very clear that we are here for you with our brand protection program in 18 countries to help you protect your IP. Thank you very much. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them. Thank you very much, Igor. Now we are going to have a Q&A session, and we want this to be as interactive as possible. So we are going to take a question from our audience here and from our online audience as well. So if you have a question, please raise your hand, and we are going to take a microphone to you. I think that we have one question from Dr. Hitch. Well, congratulations on the great presentations, Dr. Igor. I think that we met years ago, right? And my question is for you. I understand that the program that you presented has a great purpose, but it also has flaws, right? Not only the brand protection program from Mercado Libre, but also the ones owned by Shopee and Americanas and other platforms. And that flaw stems from the fact that you don't analyze some issues at the appropriate depth. For example, patent infringement. In some cases, you don't really analyze the merit of the infringement, or even if it is an infringement or not. So when a person presents the patent letter and claims that the product is not in violation of that patent, according to your program, you have to take down that ad anyway. So these are very complex issues, and I won't go in the details of all of those issues, but how are we going to solve that problem? I believe that the system is acting as a court, and when there is a case pending before a court of law, the decision can only be passed after experts' opinions and analysis. If the seller does not take down the ads, and even worse than that, sometimes those cases involve a large number of sellers who are selling a certain product. So the question is, how can we solve that problem using the system, or how can we find a problem to that issue as users? How can we report those issues to you so that we can find a solution? Well, again, thank you very much for your question. And this is a very difficult question. And I think that, as Barbara said, this is the million-dollar question. Before the panel, we were actually talking about complex situations such as the one that you just described. As you said, there might be a case in which the owner of the patent, the owner of the IP, reports an issue, and the decision is not made by Mercado Libre. The owner of the patent will make that decision. If the situation involves many sellers, as you said, that problem has to be solved by the owner of IP and the alleged violators of the right. They have to settle the issue. If they don't, it is not really up to Mercado Libre to make a decision of who's right and who's wrong. The two parties or the many parties involved need to make a decision and settle the issue. The flow or the protocol that we follow in all 18 Latin American countries where we are present work like that. If the seller and the IP owner have an issue and the seller believes that he's not infringing any patent, then we have to follow the protocol that is transparent to everybody. If there is an infringement, that's really not up to us to decide. And it really depends on each party strategy. They can take this to an arbitration court or a court of law, and those courts will make a decision about the situation, and the marketplace will comply with that decision. Again, the marketplace is not the one to decide who's wrong and who's right. Our customs regulation, for example, here in Brazil, does not provide for an arrest in cases of patent violation. And the marketplace has to report authorities so that the authorities notify the owner of the IP, and the owner will have to file a lawsuit or a complaint to secure their rights. And the case that you described is very complex because it involves patent law. Of course, that is very complex. And we always say at Mercado Libre that we are always working on a better version. Everything has and can be improved. And for us, it is very important to get feedback and hear suggestions on how to improve. But we have to think about everybody's perspectives. And Maria, I know that I am taking a long time here to answer the question, and you can jump in anytime you want, Maria. For example, there was a case in which the authority decided that the two parties were right to a certain extent, and we had to comply with that decision. We could not make any different decision on our side, and we did not exclude any of the ads in that situation. Okay, thank you very much. Yes, we were talking exactly about that before the panel started. In many cases, the parties settle the dispute, and as lawyers, it is very hard for us to ask the platforms to reactivate the ads because the seller became a representative. So that happens very often. Sometimes we settle the conflict outside of the platform. And there's another question here about taking down the ad or seizing the products. So I would like to start with Barbara, and then we go to Igor. Well, that's the million-dollar question that Igor mentioned. As any lawyer would say, it depends. Of course, the online platforms help us solve the issues faster, but I believe that we need to investigate those cases on a continuing basis. And if we need to take that to offline platforms, we need to do it, unless we're talking about Metaverse, but I don't think that's the case here. I think that it should be a continuous monitoring effort, starting on the online platforms first, and then developing continuing investigation efforts on offline platforms as well. Well, as we said, our dispute resolution channels are very fast, and we also have an anti-piracy effort, an offline effort, and I believe that we can work on the two sides, online and offline, to better protect our users' rights. And now I think we have a question from Dr. Valdir. Good morning. My name is Valdir Rocha. I have a question for Igor about taking down ads based on copyright. Because taking down counterfeit product ads, that's easier because the right owners can provide for a registration certificate, but that's not really the case for copyright problems. And how do you work in that situations at Mercado Libre? Well, thank you for your question. Indeed, copyright issues are more complex than counterfeit issues, in which the right owners can provide for evidence and proof of their rights. But there's a point to copyright issues that should be considered. Here, we usually ask the right owners to provide a list of documents, and those documents vary from country to country. For example, a sworn translation of a certain document and proof of ownership or ID documents. And those are the types of proofs that we ask for right owners to provide in those cases. And I think Barbara can talk about the projects she worked in those cases. And sometimes it's really hard to determine who the right owner is in the case of an image, for example. Sometimes those are public images that are not owned by anyone, and sometimes people use images that they should not be using without authorization. So it really depends. It really varies from case to case. And again, it is not up to us to make that decision. The right owners need to make a report, and we rely on good faith to make that decision. And in our terms and conditions, we establish the actions that we can take in case a member of the brand protection program uses these measures inappropriately, and they can be even banned from the program.
Just a quick addendum. For core search, we have a policy. We don't recommend that our customers to have a gallery of images for their products. For example, let's say they manufacture XYZ. We see a lot of products replaced with newer generation products. So we see past generations, they're a little bit obsolete, but for whatever it is, for whatever reason, the customer wants to do a takedown of these older images. Now, we're quite successful with the platforms. If we present a link to these galleries, we show this to the customer, and again, it has to do with working in good faith, and we say, hey, this is what we're doing, and this is how we took it down. So that is one method that we use. Another method that we work with is that to point out the differences between the products, but again, this depends on the platform, not just for Mercado Libre, but for anyone. But depending on the platform, this might give actually a little bit of munition for the forfeiters to to be able to forfeit better the counterfeiters to be able to counterfeit better their products. So it's a double-edged sword in this case. Thank you. We have another online question here from Tamires Bernadette Caldares. She can talk about brand violations if the brand is not yet registered. Could she file a complaint for that? Tamires, good question. For Mercado Libre protection, it only works if you have a registered brand. Otherwise, I have no idea if you can necessarily protect the brand or not. So yes, it has to be a protected brand, registered brand. Barbara, I'm sorry. Oh, sorry, in person. Any question from the audience here? Okay. Oh, no, we have... Sorry, I can't see. Dr. Ronner. Good afternoon. Good morning. No, it's still good morning. Dr. Fabris from Porto Alegre. For registered brand infringement in Mercado Libre, Igor, do we use the QR code or the URL code, or is there other mechanism for blocking or taking down the registered trademark? So what are the approaches that we use? Good morning. Thank you for your question. For the BPP members, we offer a tool that you can use a few filters. You can do keyword searches. You can either file a complaint individually, or you can file a complaint as a mass complaint for a number of brands or products. So you can do what we call a mass complaint with 3 or 4 clicks. It's very easy. It's very easy. You can't just use this keyword to block all ads because you may be blocking the original product. Okay. So don't use the keyword to block all ads. But you can block. So you have to go through these filters. Did that answer the question? We have a few more questions online. I know we're running short on time, and then I'm going to hand the mic back over to Barbara for her final comments, and then Igor for his final comments. Although if you still have questions, I'm sure you can. I'm sure our 2 guests will be happy to answer them. I'm telling you that they'll be happy to answer them, even though I haven't asked them out. I'm sure they will. But yes. So if we don't have time to answer questions, I'm sure they both will answer the questions afterwards. Absolutely, absolutely. If you want to send me a question via email, I'm more than happy to share a program with you, what we do. I'm really happy to talk about the partnerships that we've been building here. It's a great opportunity to share how important the synergy and partnership is. And it's important to talk about the work we do with law firms, the work we do with the brands. And thank you, Ines, for the proactivity you've shown and asking all these questions. Thank you, Igor. Not just because of our partnership with Mercado Libre and Core Search, this is a long-standing partnership, but also for the questions and provocations that have been raised in this panel. But this touches on good practices for all of us, for law firms, for brands. For most of the platforms, we need to show the brand registered. They have to be registered. It's a little bit more difficult, but I want to thank you all, and we're more than happy to share the work that we do with you to tell you a little bit more about what we do and in more depth. Thank you so much for the ABPI, for all the work that you do and for the invitation and showing our work in Latin America. Just a few comments. This is very important for sellers. We see over 60% of our sellers that are where we see a complaint filed for infringement, patent infringement, brand infringement, and they don't, and they end up not infringing a second time. So they're called out once, and that's it. There have been a few times where we've seen that patent was infringed, or we wanted to make a reference to a brand. We see these complaints, but given our knowledge and what we've been able to disclose, what we've been able to explain to the market, the guidance we've been able to offer to the market, explain to sellers how to protect brands has been wonderful. We have a seller channel. We explain them. Don't say that you're an official distributor if you're not an official distributor. So we have these guidelines, okay? Because it's gonna cause problems. In our day-to-day work, it is our job to guide and to show the path, show all of these sellers what they need to do. Whether they're small, whether they're big, whether they're medium-sized, they often don't know what they need to do. And it's often just a question of education. So it's our job as intellectual property specialists to educate our market, explain to sellers how to actually sell and how they can sell in such a way that they don't infringe on copyrights and registered brands. So thank you, Igor, thank you, Barbara, and thank you all of you here in person, all of you following along online. I hope you've enjoyed this panel today, and I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed also our conversations that we had prior to this panel as well. Thank you once again, and have a wonderful day.